So last night there was a director from MUFON that was in one of the spaces, the UFO spaces, and
Mm.
he released a photograph of a UFO, or of an alien being from a crash. I linked
Yes.
it to the top. He got it from Lue Elizondo.
Yep.
Have you ever seen this photo before?
Yes.
Really?
I've seen that probably about 5 or more years back. Yeah. Um,
What's your take on that? Can you talk about that a little bit and who showed it to
well,
you?
it's very much the same thing as the alien autopsy. Um, the If this was faked, it was a very good fake in my book. It looks very realistic because I've seen so many different photos of aliens and UAP. Um, at a glance, sometimes you kind of get a feeling for it after a while, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. And this one looks to me genuine. At least it deserves further analysis. And I think there's a backstory that goes along with it as well. That it was part of the retrieval process and everything. And I just need to tell you guys here and now, since I just brought up retrievals, that's been the hardest thing for me to discuss with folks. Is on one hand they want to talk about UAP and all the vanilla stuff, but the reality of retrievals is it's messy. Just as Jake Barber came out about retrievals, that he says that certain people can show up, and yeah, he's had to have gunfire, and he's lost some people, and that is a fact. And you can imagine that the NHI that they are retrieving and the craft that they're retrieving, um, some give up easily, some don't. Some fight to the death. So there are teams that take care of that kind of stuff too. So I'm just letting you know that there's a reality to this that people don't like to hear about because they're still in that phase one of, are UAP even real? But if you've been behind the veil like I have, and Jake Barber and some of the other whistleblowers, the reality is that yeah, there's a very violent part to this, and I'm just wanting to let people know that that's part of the logic that we need to get a hold of. Is that it's one thing to think we're alone or think that we're not alone, but if we're not alone, that means there's civilizations out there that are more advanced than us. That means we're talking about people that have governance of their own. They have their own cultures. They've got their own laws that they abide by. And of course, if they're talking to each other, then there must be some sort of a galactic or communal set of laws, just like we have a hierarchy of law that goes from local authorities all the way up to the Supreme Courts of our nation, and then onward and upward. We've yet to achieve a planetary wide um, system of laws, but we do have at least some meeting spaces that we get together. And that's something that all need to take home with you and think about, because I'm not saying you have to believe me wholeheartedly, but if you're still playing with the idea, those are some of the realities that you need to think of when you think logically through some of the scenarios that we're hearing people give testimony about. And I just wanted to make sure you guys understood that those are some of the very first beginnings of getting your mindset correct, because it's one thing to say, I don't think we're alone, but it's quite another that if you really want to go down that path, you have a series of logical steps you should go through, and I'm trying to encourage you down that right path.
Yeah, 100%. I'm convinced, that UFOs are real, that we're not alone. I seen a UFO up close. It was about 8 feet away from me.
Mm,
Um,
8 feet.
yeah, maybe 10 feet.